Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. We are live here on Friday, September 6th. Hope you guys are doing well. Back at it with another video, and we're doing live tarot readings on the channel this evening. If you guys can see me, give me a thumbs up and say hello in the chat. Let me know where you guys are tuning in from. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I am a Western astrologer, and I like to use the Sabian symbols as well as tarot to kind of understand what's going on out in the world. So make sure you click the bell button below and subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm here every Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday. Well, it's the very first live for the month of September. I'm still getting used to saying that. I've said August like so many times. But so this is the very first live that we're going to be doing on the channel. So if you have a level 3 membership, that means you get a reading from me once a month. So if you guys are part of the level 3 group, you want to get a reading, give me a shout out, let me know. I'm happy to get you in the queue. Obviously we're here early. I usually film on Mondays and Fridays, so I had some extra time today. So we decided we'll just kind of hop on the internet and start doing the damn thing. But before we get into it, I just want to say thank you so much to all of my memberships. Those of you guys who know me know that I create long form content. I like to teach astrology, talk about what's going on out in the world, how it connects to the stars, and I create educational stuff. I put out some webinars every now and then on my channel, really long horoscopes and so much more. So if you're looking for some insight for eclipses, retrogrades, or you just want to know what the heck is going on, you can check out my work. And if you'd like to join memberships, there's several different levels to support me as a full-time content creator. And level 3, you're going to get a reading with me once a month. So I'm usually here every Friday at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, but I'm here an hour early today. So we'll see if people caught the message. And if you happen to be a level 3 member and you want to get your reading, let me know. What's up, Polly? What's up, Paula? Paula says she wants to cash in. Mary and Dottie, what's going on? How are you guys doing? Well, let me say thank you, first of all, to all of my level 3 memberships. So we've got Ronnie, Shay, Jessica, Salty Mama Soul Tribe, Stephanie C, Let Your Light Shine, Blue, Renee, Jessica, Penny, Smoky Brown Eyes, Lisa, he sent me orbs, Rosary, Jen, Dorothy, Claire, Cece, Laverne, Lolita, Darlene, Christine, Queen of Light Bulbs, Erica, Grow Up Together, Victoria, Thunder Spooks, Tiana, Enchanted, Sharon, Steve, Angelo, Willow, Emma, Taliba, and Jackie and Susan Wexler. So thank you guys so much for all of you guys who are part of my memberships. I appreciate you so much. You make it possible for me to do what I'm doing. And if you'd like to get a reading, you can join memberships today. Who else do we have? What's up, Kayla? How's it going? Talcha. Sorry, my screen's a little bit further away from me than it usually is, so it's not in the way of the cards. Paula, did you rejoin monthly? Because I don't see you on my monthlies. Usually you'll have like a little color by your name. So just double check, because I don't see you on here. And let me know. And we do have a whole slew of people that are in the queue. So the people who get readings first are the level 3, and then what we do is we go through the queue and I'll call out your name before we do the reading. We're going to be doing tarot card spreads, so we're going to do 1 card reading and 3 card reading. You can ask whatever question you like. In order to get a reading, here's what you got to do. Scan the QR code. That's going to take you to my PayPal where you can make a donation. It's $20 US for 1 card, $40 US for a 3 card spread. And you can ask multiple questions if you want to send multiple payments, if that's what you want to do, or you can mix it up and ask several 1 card questions. Sometimes people like to do that. What else? That's pretty much it. So let me give you the rundown of who I have so far. And we'll see if there's any level 3 people that are here. But I've got, let's see, Silk, Kayla, Natalie, Holly, Alana, and Melody that are all here. Are any of those people who paid in advance here? Because some people might think that we're starting at 7, so I don't want to like miss some of the people who got the reading. Silk was first. But let me know. Paula, I'm looking for you. Let me see if I can find you. Let's see. Yes. What's the last name for your YouTube? Kayla's here. Oh, Silk is here. Okay, cool. All right, I just want to make sure that I didn't miss you. I have a Paula Almond, but you don't have a little star by your name, so I'm wondering maybe if it kicked you this month. Just double check it and let me know. I'll keep you on the list once we figure out what's going on. So we'll take Silk, Kayla, Natalie, Holly, Alana, and Melody. If you guys want to get a reading, scan the QR code and you can get in. We'll let you know how long we're going to be leaving that up for. How's everybody's Friday going so far? Pretty good. All right, so we'll be starting with Silk and then we'll take Kayla and Natalie. What's up? Grow up together. What's going on? All right, so let's start with Silk. Silk's got a 3-card reading. And Silk says, my question is, I'm curious, is the person I'm destined to marry someone I've already met? Or is it someone new? I've been dating and trying to put myself out there more this year. Well, let's take a look. Let's see what's going on for Silk and what the cards have to say. Is it possible she's already met the person that she is destined to be with? Or is it somebody else? It looks like she's putting herself out there, so that's good. All right. All right, so in this order, all right, we've got Page of Pentacles, 7 of Wands, 5 of Cups. You know, I kind of see this as like, you know, there's been potential, or at least there's been a sense of really looking for people who kind of bring a little bit more to the table, right? Pages represent new opportunities, new beginnings, similar to an ace, but it's about new people. So the Page of Coins can represent kind of sussing out some of the people that you're meeting and being like, all right, you know, is there something of value here? Is this worth investing my time or my energy into? It does seem to suggest that there has been better options that you have been kind of working with in terms of potential long-term partnerships and relationships. But one thing that I will say is that when I look at the cards, it makes me feel like you're getting to a point with some of the people that you're meeting or some of the people that you're dating that feels like you're hitting a wall, or you're feeling like you're getting to a certain point. And that could be, you know, you're with somebody for several weeks or for several months, right? 7 of Wands could be increments of 7. And then you feel like, okay, you know, I'm the person who's putting more or investing more into relationships, or maybe it can represent standing your ground and knowing what it is that you really want and what you're worth when it comes to relationships and commitments. You know, this is a card that's about not backing down or about not lowering your standards. Maybe your expectations are lower with the Page of Coins coming up, but not backing down when it comes to your non-negotiables and relationships. And sometimes the 7 of Wands is not just about standing your ground, but feeling like you're not, what's the word that I'm looking for? Like you're not, like you're not going to make any sacrifices. I guess that's another thing that can kind of come up with the 7 of Wands. Maybe it feels like you get to a point with some of the people that you're dating that you're like, okay, you know, I'm the only one who's like pushing this forward. Or you might feel like you get to a point where you start to kind of see some of the issues in terms of the dynamic as to whether or not you guys could actually, you know, be together long term. Regardless, this is a card that's about coming out on top. So even though it looks like it's a challenge, it's basically saying that you're sticking with it, you're taking the time to get to know people, you're really kind of investing yourself in it. And you may feel like it's a lot of work, right? When you say you're putting yourself out there, obviously like that means you're making a conscious effort to go and meet people, you're going on dates, maybe you're trying to kind of diversify your schedule, or you're doing things that kind of puts you in a position that sometimes feels like a little vulnerable or uncomfortable. So it is saying that you're not wasting your time doing what you're doing, so don't change anything. But I do feel like the final card coming up with the 5 of Cups, it can talk about like disappointment. And you know, when I see this card, I'm always quick to kind of point out to people, First of all, the colors aren't looking so hot. You know, you got a gray sky. The back is kind of turned in the forward part of the card. There's a cloak, which is saying that there is some disappointment revolving around maybe not seeing what you want or not getting the results that you want. And cups are emotional. So on the ground, you see 3 of cups. So the cups are spilled over. This is usually a card that's about joy and coming together and celebration and like really enjoying yourself when it comes to the process of dating. But they're tipped over. So it's saying like there is some kind of disappointment revolving around almost feeling like, you know, I started seeing somebody and then it trailed off. Or, you know, I started seeing somebody and then I met another person. Third party situations can sometimes happen with the 3 of cups when it's tipped over. And that's kind of the name of the game when you're dating. It's like you're getting to know people and they may be kind of doing the same thing. So it's telling you, don't get disappointed if you feel like there are other potential options and choices that come in, whether that's for you or the people that you're dating. Equally, the 2 of cups behind him, right here, is saying that you don't want to get too focused on what's not working out with certain people. You want to be mindful that if certain people are kind of leaving your life or if situations change with people that you're dating, it's happening because you're gaining experience. You're learning more about relationships and you're learning what it is that you really want and what you will and will not tolerate or what you need in terms of a relationship. So see it as kind of like, you know, exercising or flexing your dating muscle, right? Does it mean that they last forever? No, but there's something that's kind of gained in the process. And then the 2 of cups behind is saying that if there are situations that are changing in relationships, it may likely be changing because it's bringing an actual union in. So this card makes me feel like, while I don't think you're wasting your time dating, I don't get the impression that you have met the person that you're actually going to, you know, settle down with or marry. And it's trying to get you to be detached from any particular outcome with one person right now and not be feeling like you have to hold on to like a certain kind of ideal, you know, relationship outcome or scenario. Keep doing what you're doing though, because 7 of Wands is saying that, you know, you're gaining experience. You're also, you know, becoming more clear about what you probably will and will not tolerate in relationships is the other way that I kind of see that. You know, maybe you're quicker to kind of cut your losses rather than, you know, spending time with somebody for like months or even like years when you know it's just not a fit. And some people are potentially here to kind of stay around for a short period of time. It may be about the exchange of the relationship and learning more about relationship values with the Page of Coins coming up. The other way I could see this is like the Page of Pentacles can represent an earth sign. So it can be a Taurus, it could be a Virgo, it could be a Capricorn that's coming in and you're like, okay, I'm seeing some potential from someone. You know, I think this could be something. And it's saying if that's the experience that you're having, then like continue to see whether or not you guys are a good match. However, be mindful of relationship dynamics where you feel like you're hitting a wall or you get to a point where you're like, I'm the one pushing for more than what I'm actually getting. And if you have that experience with the 7 of Wands, it's saying, obviously, you know, set your standards high, your expectations low. That can help kind of prevent there from being any issues where you're potentially feeling disappointed because something doesn't work out. And if there is some kind of do-si-do going on in terms of like dating and kind of getting to know people, just know that, you know, it's most likely because things are being rearranged because another person is going to be coming in. I would say the next, you know, like 5 to 7 months, because we've got a 5 and a 7 showing up, seems to be the time where you're really learning this lesson and that there is going to be this realization that's like, I can only take some things so far. Potentially, you know, without somebody else kind of trying to incentivize, you know, themselves and kind of doing a little bit more of like the actual work. Page of Pentacles is about what somebody brings to the table, right? It can be seen as like planting a seed that shows promise, but it's like, what is this person showing you in their physical actions? Are they showing you that they're valuing you? Are they actually making physical changes to kind of integrate you into their life? Are they thinking about you when they make decisions? Are they generous? And that could be with their time, that can be with their affection, things like that. So that's what you want to be watching for, but I'm not entirely convinced that there's anybody long-term that's here at the moment, but pay attention to this particular time period, okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you guys. All right, let's take a look And let's see who else we've got here. We've got Kayla, Natalie, and then Holly. So if you guys want to get a reading, you can scan the QR code, you can get in there. We're here early tonight, so some people are like, what is going on? Mercury retrograde. All right, so let's see what Kayla has to say. Kayla says, oh, sending me some astro too. She is a Capricorn rising with an Aries sun and a Leo moon. All right. So she says, I'm open to whatever the cards would like to tell me. Thank you for all you do. You're welcome. Thanks for watching. So if you're a Cap rising, you got an Aries sun. So your sun is whole sign, 4th house. You got a Leo moon. So that's going to be, all right, kind of quincunx your ascendant, but that's okay. 8th house moon. So I think about just in general, you know, like Pluto going back into Capricorn for a Capricorn rising, you know, major changes and transformations happening right now. And I think about kind of Mars going into your 7th and some action in relationship land. But let's see what the cards say. She says, yes, lots of transformation currently, girl. As a cardinal rising, cardinal moon, I am ready for Pluto to leave Capricorn. You can end whenever you'd like. There's that Page of Pentacles again. So we got Page of Pentacles, Queen of Cups, Page of Cups. Very fascinating. We got 2 pages that are kind of sandwiching the Queen. So these are all court cards. So these can be people or these can be situations that are kind of coming up in the more kind of immediate situation. Sorry, let me adjust some things so you guys can see better here. There we go. I don't know why that thing goes off. It's so funny. Like maybe it's like my hands or something. Let's see what's gonna, there we go. Okay. Sorry, I'm moving the cards around. I know they should be here. All right. So court cards, they can be people, right? They don't just have to be kind of like new popping up situations. So we've got an earth sign, which could be Taurus, it could be Virgo or Capricorn. We've got a water sign, which could be Scorpio, Cancer, or Pisces. And we've got another water sign, Scorpio, Pisces, or Cancer. That doesn't mean it has to be 3 people. It's just sometimes these people pop up in the cards. I want you to just look at the cards. So I like to teach tarot, right? And I like to read tarot in a more kind of picturesque way. What are both of the pages doing right now, right? They are offering something to the Queen. She says, my ex-husband is a Virgo, my ex-boyfriend is a Cancer. That's funny. They're offering something to the Queen, right? So number one, when I see the Queen in the middle, it's basically saying in this situation, it can be you that is being offered up something, right? So this is past, present, future, but still when I look at it, that seems significant. Page of Pentacles offers new financial opportunities, planting seeds, investing money, focusing on self-worth, taking better care of health, focusing on productivity, learning new things, new skills, because pages can be that type of stuff. So in the past, you know, Page of Pentacles is saying, well, you know, there's been this sense of me trying to get a handle on something, and it can be work, health, money, resources, self-esteem, stability. And now there's this graduation in the current position to the Queen of Cups. So I think it's you, even if you're not a water sign, it can be saying that you're in a situation right now where there's a lot of emotional maturity and emotional growth that's going on, right? Queens are feminine in energy. They want to nurture something. This can be about you really realizing and recognizing what it is that you really need right now in this moment emotionally. And that could be in relationships, that can be related to your mental health, that can be also kind of connected to your relationships with other people. And when queens come up, when there's like 2 little pages that are around them, there is this sense of them being put on a pedestal or them being put in a position of higher authority. This is a higher ranking card. So it is saying that you've kind of grown up recently. There has been a lot of maturing and kind of realizing, you know what, I can't expect other people to give me the things that I need or make me feel important or make me feel special or valuable. Like I have to give that to myself. So that's kind of interesting with some of the transits that you've got going on, knowing that there could be a lot of action in your relationship zone, knowing that also you're going through a Pluto 1st house transit, knowing that you know, there's eclipses going on in your 4th house and that it may be about you making changes in your emotional kind of, you know, life, your private life, your family. And then we see all these other kind of activations that are going on in Libra in the 10th house, which could be about moving away from old identities of feeling like you have to be partnered, moving away from relationships that feel demanding, making changes in your career and your status. And so, you know, I think about the North Node going through the 4th house, and it has this very watery feeling, even though it's in Aries for you, which is like, no, I have to focus on taking care of me. You know, I want to find my own space. I want to kind of define my own life outside of relationships. Who am I when I'm not involved with other people? And I think that's going to be a pretty big lesson that's going to be going on as Mars opposes Pluto and it squares whatever you've got in Aries, right? So this is about being more in tune with your emotions. Sometimes queens can represent mothers or like women around you also that are kind of influential. This can also be saying that there is like this more kind of dreamy, idealistic kind of side of you that's kind of coming out right now, where you're really longing for the life that you're wanting to have, or you're learning to trust your instincts, your intuition, or there is some kind of intuitive development maybe that you're doing as well. And then we have the Page of Cups. So, you know, whenever you see the Page of Cups, the Queen of Cups, or the Knight of Cups and the Queen of Cups, that can be about an offer. That can be about a relationship development. Because cups are the water element, you know, the Page of Cups can represent like a new kind of innocent, fun, charming person that comes into your life. And what's fascinating is that the Page, which is in the future, is offering a cup to the Queen, but the Queen has got her back turned to him. She's still looking at the past, right? So it can be saying that there could be relationship opportunities, partnership opportunities, the ability to connect with somebody in a really soulful, emotional way, but you may be still thinking about the past, or you may be still stuck on the past, or you're trying to kind of free yourself from, you know, physical, you know, ties to another person. Certainly, you know, if you have children with somebody and you're no longer with that person, like you're kind of bound to them to some extent, you know, for quite some time. So I'm wondering, like, is there some kind of tie here that's going on where you're like, you know, I physically feel like I am still connected to old relationships, or it's hard for me to break away, or I'm still kind of, you know, thinking about the past? She says, I need to remain open. I'm trying to free myself from any ties with my ex. Pretty sure I have a soul tie to my Cancer. Okay. So, you know, I think that this is about recognizing that, number one, you're in control, right? The Queen is the higher ranking kind of person who's on the table right now. So really the ball is in your court. If you do decide to open yourself up to another person, somebody will show up, and you can look for water signs. So there can be, you know, Scorpio, Cancer, Pisces people that can kind of appear. But it's important not to feel so tied to the past. And for you, it can be more emotional. For the other person, it can be that they still kind of have like a hold on you, or maybe there's this feeling that's like, okay, well, they're always going to be there, so maybe at some point they'll grow up, right? The Page. But just so you're aware, the Page can offer the Queen a coin, right? But the Queen's already got her money. Like, she's already self-sufficient. She's a queen. She doesn't really, there's not much that she can get from a Page. So this can be insinuating that's like, look, you can look back there, but it doesn't really have anything of value to give you, right? And, you know, at least you've got two cards here that are the same element. So you may be able to find somebody who's more going to be on your wavelength emotionally, and somebody who also is going to be like more open-hearted, somebody who is going to be more compassionate, somebody you can have like a really sweet kind of romantic kind of connection with coming in the future. And sometimes water signs show up around their month. So like Scorpio season, Pisces season, that might be a time to pay attention. I'm going to tell you without a shadow of a doubt, if you're a Capricorn rising and you got Mars going into your 7th house and Mars rules your 4th house, you will be dealing with the past. Mars retrograde, Mars rules your 4th, retrograde to go back. It's going to go through your 7th house of relationships and partners. And what's going to happen is Mars is going to go back and forth in opposition to Pluto. And it's going to be about whether or not you have changed. So even if these people come back around, or they say, let's make it work, I would assume a lot of Capricorn risings are going to look around and they're going to go, you know what, I'm not the same person I was 3, 4, 5 years ago. You know, maybe back then, or even a year ago, if you had come back, I would have said, yes, I'll take you back. But maybe now there's this realization that you have evolved so much that it's going to be hard to actually take that person back, or it's going to be hard to imagine living together again or sharing that space again. And so when we see the retrograde happen, by the way, mid-October is when the shadow starts. So October clear until March of 2025, we're going to see Mars and Pluto kind of doing their thing. So it would not surprise me that there could be a little bit of a back and forth between you and another person. I think it's very likely. You know, I can't remember the date, but there will be a full moon that's going to be in Cancer, and that full moon is going to be conjunct Mars, and I think that's going to be either end of December or early January. I don't remember the date, but that's probably going to be the turning point for you because of that Mars moon conjunction, full moon. It's going to trine Saturn. And maybe there is some realization about whether or not you can really move forward. And also, you know, you're not giving this page your full attention, right? You're not looking at him. So you're not even able maybe to kind of even clearly see, you know, somebody if they were interested in you, or maybe, you know, you would be able to give them the attention that they deserve if you're still kind of, you know, kind of tied up and hung up on the past, right? So just something to kind of think about, like when you guys read cards, you don't just have to memorize the meaning of the card. Like that's helpful, sure. But if you can really see how the characters are interacting with each other, it's super clear as day what's going on in terms of like relationship dynamics. She says, I've been talking about how I'm ready for my person. I keep telling myself I'm open because I know he's out there. You know what? Retrogrades are karmic times. So when you have retrogrades in your 7th house, people can come back, or you can meet somebody who is like a, you know, like a soul connection. Some really significant things, at least in my life, have happened during retrogrades in the 7th house. I can think of like 3 separate scenarios where I had a Mercury retrograde, a Venus retrograde, and a Mars retrograde. And those were very, very significant turning points for me in terms of my relationships. And in my opinion, even though Mars is a malefic, in this Mars retrograde, we are going to see Mars trine Saturn. You're going to see it in the pre-shadow. You're going to see it in the retrograde. You're going to see it direct. For you, I think that's really good because Saturn is your chart ruler, and it's going to probably be about doing a little bit of traveling and meeting somebody, maybe using an app and meeting someone. Maybe you meet a neighbor. There could be some kind of long distance relationship thing that goes on. But whenever you see trines between your 7th house and your chart ruler, what you're going to realize is that it's just going to be about clear communication. And sometimes Mars in Cancer is about kind of cutting things off, you know? So just some food for thought. Hopefully that's helpful for you. We've got Natalie and then Holly. You're welcome. Those of you guys who sent a payment, I'll give you an update in just a second. All right, so we've got Natalie. What's up, Natalie? If I see that Page of Pentacles again, I swear. If you guys watch the weekly readings, you know sometimes there's like a card of the night, and that card just keeps popping up. So I wonder, is that gonna be the card? Is it? All right. So let's see what Natalie says. What's up, Natalie? She's my chart twin. Our charts are very similar. Okay, she says, hey Candace, last time we talked, I got the message on the necessity of needing to have my own space, studio, practice, do my own thing as an entrepreneur. In March, I took the Pilates practice to a new studio. Cool. Negotiated my rate, and now I'm making more than ever. While I'm content with my current work environment, I'm still wondering about my full entrepreneurship and what that will look like. What else do I need to know? I know 10th house Chiron isn't going to be elevated until I'm really doing healing work, but I also love my creative work with yoga and dance, 5th house. Thank you. All right, so let's see what she needs to know about what's going to happen with her entrepreneurship. I will tell you, if you are a Libra rising, you are going to see, are you Libra or Virgo? I can't remember. I think you're Libra rising too. You're going to see Mars go retrograde in your 10th house, right? So that, put them where they need to go. There we go. You're going to see Mars go retrograde in your 10th house, okay? You might want to think back to when this last happened. I think it was 2009. I think. I'll have to check. But I believe it was like the beginning of 2008 or 2009 that Mars retrograded through Cancer. So we saw one that started kind of mostly in Leo, one that was in Cancer. So it was one of those 2 years. Anyway, when that happens, you know, Mars rules your 7th house, right? So that's about clients, partnerships, you know, alliances. It's also your services, what you offer. So you're going to want to watch when Mars goes into shadow, because it's going to be in your 10th house, which I think for a Mars transit, Mars does really well in the 10th house. It can get a lot of work done. It's got a lot of momentum. It's very competitive, but it's also for Libra rising being emotionally invested in the work that you're doing and making sure that you're taking the necessary time to really work through what can be some new big professional shift that you're going to kind of be making, right? And you'll see lots of trines to your 6th house, which can be about health and services. So I think that the business can expand. Like sometimes when you see a retrograde, things slow down, but the business can expand, and it can also expand as it trines Saturn, where you can also include other healing modalities if that's something that you wanted to do, other skills and things that you could kind of bring into that. You throw that into the fact that, Mars is, also going to be trining anything you have in the 2nd house, which could also bring more resources to you. Jupiter and Saturn are in square, so it's going to be like, well, do I want to work with clients and have this schedule? Do I want to be teaching? What am I doing? So you're going to have to kind of figure that out. But all roads lead to 2025 when Jupiter goes into your 10th house. And then you also see Jupiter trine Saturn. And probably the Jupiter transit is going to be about integrating other modalities, or it might be like courses, or it might be, you're doing some kind of sessions with clients before you're doing body work. That's another way I could look at it. But the Magician, the Hierophant, and the 8 of Cups. So technically, if you're renting your own space, or if you have your own studio practice, like you're already doing the entrepreneurial thing. Okay, so I don't know what the deal is if you're sharing a studio with another person, or like what's going on there. I wonder if it's going to be about going bigger, right? Because you're going to see that so much about Jupiter in your 10th house next year is about really expanding your work in a bigger way. You only get that every 12 years. And it's going to be kind of crazy because it's going to pose all your 4th house stuff, and it's going to also square things going into your 7th, which means clients might need more, or there might be more incentive for people to be working with you. So good problems to have. The Magician card is saying that there's still a lot of stuff that's kind of like out in the ethers that you're thinking about, that you're trying to kind of ground out. So right now it's more ideas. It's like, okay, here's everything that I can do. How do I make this a one-stop shop? Or how do I create this like ideal, professional, kind of environment? Or how do I figure out how to kind of tie all of my magical abilities into one? That's how I see the Magician card. It reminds you that as above, so below. So if you're thinking about it, you're manifesting things, you're bringing things in. I mean, what you've already accomplished is a testament in itself, that once you kind of did the work and you realized your worth and you made the time and you put in the effort, then, you make magic happen, right? That's the Magician. So what I like about this is more kind of like ideas and inspiration. It doesn't necessarily mean that things are going to happen in a linear fashion. It's just more kind of, this concept of what it is you want to create. And then we've got the Hierophant, which is complete opposite. It is tradition, it's reform, it's creating almost like a container for, what you do. And this tells me that one of the big turning points for you, it looks like, is probably going to be like Taurus season of 2025. Like that's when you're going to start to really see things change. Hierophant is connected to Taurus. It can also be about the full moon in Taurus that we're going to have in mid-November. But the Hierophant is also like seen as the pro, right? Like if you need to see somebody for a surgery, you're going to go to a doctor, right? If you're going through a legal case, you're going to go to an attorney. You're going to see somebody who's like the best of the best to represent you or help you with whatever you need. So the Hierophant is about refining some of your skills right now. And it can be about training, certifications. It could be about, going through like programs or working with a mentor or something that's helping you really refine some of the stuff that you're doing before you get to this period in the new year. You've got an eclipse coming in your 6th too. So I think that's also kind of saying like there is a sense of like really buckling down with your schedule and going, okay, this is what I have time for. This is what I'm committed to doing. This is the space that I'm working in. And the squares to Jupiter are saying it's going to interfere with travel. It's going to interfere with like other classes or training or, other things that you're wanting to learn. But also it's about healing. 6th house is about healing, Pisces. And it can be about how you're making a conscious change in your schedule because you're wanting to go and do some kind of training and maybe focus on bringing some of that into your practice next year. It's interesting that the 8 of Cups comes up as the final card because it does say that once you start doing some of this stuff, you will actually probably have another move, okay? And you're probably like, I just moved, I just got into this space. But it could be that energy that I was telling you that I'm like, you're going to outgrow where you're at because you're either going to need more space or you're going to be working in a capacity where you're going to maybe be able to kind of like rent space to other people. Something's going to happen that's going to require you to move on and evolve. We all know what happens after the 8 of Cups, right? If we walk away from something, we have a lot to gain. So that 9 of Cups would be the next card, which is saying your wishes come true. I wonder, this is just me kind of like speculating, when the retrograde happens in your 6th house, Venus will retrograde next spring. It's going to go from your 7th into your 6th. It's probably going to be about being like, oh, I'm moving to a bigger space, or, you know, something has happened in the space that I'm in, but it's good, you know, and this is like the changes that I'm going to be making. Maybe it means that you're rearranging the space that you have rented because you're going to be offering other services. I think there's a way to be able to curate what you're doing, and really it's about refining it over the next 6 months. So that way you can incorporate all of the things that it is that you want to do, right? But whatever it is, you're focusing on being like in tip-top shape in terms of making sure that you really know what you're doing and that you have the appropriate kind of guidance and training to be able to offer some of these services as you get into next year. But the 8 of Cups is saying that in order to do that, you will walk away from something. So whether that's a space or maybe, you know, you decide to really go full, you know, bore with some of your healing work, and that makes you realize like, okay, there is this thing that I've created, I'm stepping away from that. The beauty of some of the transits that you're going to have next year is Saturn going into your 7th. You could have a new, you know, business alliance and partnership. Neptune going into your 7th. You could be offering some kind of spiritual services or counseling or healing or intuitive sound work or intuitive body work that people might want. And I think that's going to be pretty big actually in the next like year or two with some of those ingresses. It can also mean that you're getting to a point where, you know, you're wanting to bring other people in. Some of the retrogrades for Libra rising could mean that you have to hire people, or you're like renting space out to people because you're like, okay, you know, I'm super busy doing what I'm doing, but I still need to pay my lease with where I'm at. I'm not worried about it. I just think that you will get to a point next spring where you're going to be like, in order to do what I really want to do, I have to let something go. And you're going to have to figure out what that thing is going to be. But in the meantime, I'd be focusing on really kind of fine tuning, you know, some of your skills and some of your abilities, so that way you can create something that's different and unique, right? Having Chiron in the 10th house is like, you know, a lot of those people, they never really know what they want to be when they grow up, or they don't like the idea of kind of being in the spotlight, or maybe they reject the idea of doing some kind of work that's about emotional healing. Or they reject maybe the idea of, you know, like, you know, putting themselves out there and like being successful and being a business owner, you know, and you have all of those kind of like oppositions between your 4th. So what's going to happen over the next year or two is I think you're kind of figure out like how to have like a better like work-life balance. And that means that maybe you're going to make the necessary changes in your schedule or your space. And for all you know, you could end up like renting your space out to somebody or hiring somebody that can kind of help kind of keep the flow if you start to try to transition into a different type of work, right? So be mindful of what you're going to have to kind of let go of next spring. Hopefully that's helpful for you. I've got Holly and Alana. I'm going to update my page here so I can see who else has donated. If you guys are still watching, want to get a reading, you can scan the QR code right up there. Let's see, who else do we have? Melody, Tiana. All right, so I'll give you guys a rundown of who else I have, because I know some other people have paid. All right, so we've got Holly, Alana, Melody, Tiana, Shiza, Root, and Trudy. Okay, that's who I've got. All right, so let's take a look and let's see what Holly has to say. I think she sent her reading up here. What's up, Holly? Question is, do you see any separation with Mars between my husband and I? We've been together for 22 years. You are a Pisces and he is either, yeah, it looks like he's an Aquarius. All right, let's take a look. So do I see separation for Holly and her partner? Let's take a look. Certainly as like a I don't know your chart, but as like a Pisces, you know, the eclipses are coming. And the eclipses are going to be in your sun sign. So from a Pisces perspective, you know, lunar eclipse in the sign of Pisces, sun in Virgo. There's lots of oppositions going on between Virgo and Pisces. So some Pisces are kind of like distancing themselves from partnerships, or they feel like they need more space. And there's a lot of squares that are going on to Jupiter. So you could be this feeling like, oh, something could be changing like in the home. That doesn't mean it will happen, but next spring, you're going to start seeing the eclipses that are going to be taking place in Virgo. So you might want to look at those eclipses next spring because that can give you some insight. And Pisces, man, Saturn and Neptune being in your sign, you guys kind of go between being like, I want to be alone, no, don't leave me alone, type of vibe. All right, so this is what I've got. I've got the Ace of Wands, the King of Wands, and the Devil card. All right, so first of all, I'm going to kind of work backwards here. The Devil card being the final card does talk about something that is binding, right? It's something that it's like, well, you know, it's this situation that's like, I may want to break free or they may want to break free, but there's some difficulty in like actually doing that. And like, it's more complicated than just being like, yes, you guys will split, you know? If I were to just look at this in general, I mean, Ace of Wands, King of Wands, the Devil card, it can tell me that it can represent a man that's going through a situation where he can be a little bit more feisty and a little bit more fiery about how he feels and a little bit more kind of forthcoming about his needs. And like it can be sometimes a little domineering when the Devil card comes up, right? But there's no female court cards coming up. So it's saying that the energy is actually more kind of connecting and correlating with him. You know, Ace of Wands in the previous position is saying that there's always been like a connection. There's always been a spark. There's always been, you know, a lot of passion and like togetherness. And so off the bat, that doesn't really tell me that there is necessarily anything that's been wrong in the relationship. Ace of Wands is about keeping things moving. It's about creativity and making time for romance and being able to kind of come together and enjoying yourself. And it can be about physical connection and passion as well. Then we have the King of Wands. So, you know, obviously he's not a fire sign, but he can be kind of showing some of these elements, or you could be showing some of these elements. King of Wands is about feeling as if, you know, he really wants to, or you really want to like get your way. And sometimes it's in a demanding manner, but you know, for the purpose of just looking at this card, it's just more about being like, I need more spontaneity. I need more fun. I need more action. I need more freedom. And it's not about wanting to necessarily leave the relationship because that's not the vibe that I'm getting. But maybe some restlessness, like restlessness comes up with cards that have a lot of fire in it. And the Ace of Wands with the King of Wands, you know, this is kind of the beginning. The King is the final card for the suit of Wands. So you've got the beginning and the end. So there can be the sense of looking at the relationship and being like, okay, you know, things started off really well, and I really liked, you know, the spark between us, and it was like something that kept us together and kept us going. And then you can be looking at the situation with the King of Wands and the Devil card, and it's like, the more that you spend time together and you start to kind of see some of those relationship tendencies or those traits that are coming through, there can be the sense of being like, oh, well, is it that somebody is just really spontaneous and that they're passionate, or is like, am I dealing with somebody who's like, you know, kind of being mean or being demanding, or somebody who is being cruel? Because sometimes that can come up with the Devil card. King of Wands is not a bad card though. I mean, the first two cards are really positive, but the Devil card is making me wonder if it's a situation where you have somebody who is unwilling to change. Okay, and it could be you or it could be him. I'm not saying it's him. You have somebody who's unwilling to change, or unwilling to break free from patterns, or unwilling to, you know, keep an open mind and engage in a way where there can be a little bit more kind of give and take and diplomacy, right? And sometimes fire doesn't always care about diplomacy. Fire is just like, I want what I want when I want it, and then there can be some drama or some conflict or some hostility that can come up if things don't go their way. So I'm wondering like what the deal is between the two of you, because to me this is saying, on the contrary, this doesn't really seem like a separation. It seems like a situation where you may have somebody, and it could be you or it could be him, that's just like, I'm going to fight for this and I'm not going to let this go, right? The Devil card is a card that's about Saturn. And being that he's kind of on the cusp of, Aquarius, it can be kind of talking about, being in a situation where you've got somebody who's just really fixed and focused, right, on getting what they want or getting their way. If I read your dates correctly, so it looks like he's around the end of January. Pluto is somewhere around his sun right now. So he's under a Pluto transit, which means he's going through a huge personal identity change. And if it's an Aquarius, the sun rules their 7th house, which is about relationships. So Pluto hitting the sun of an Aquarius represents power struggles, identity issues, problems in their own feelings of whether or not they have control, because it rules their 10th house when it comes to relationships. So like, honestly, if that's what's going on, the astrology kind of checks out. Granted, we don't know his ascendant sign or any of that stuff, but I look at this and I'm like, well, if somebody is being mean, or if somebody is being super critical, or if somebody is being impatient, and, you're in a situation where it's just like, you're looking at it and you're like, they're not going to change. What do I do? Do I stay? I don't really get the impression that this person's going to leave. I don't get the impression you guys are going to separate or break up. But I will tell you, I'd go and learn about the Mars retrograde, because he's going to have Pluto on his sun and Mars is going to be in opposition to his sun. And that means that there could be a back and forth dance that he's experiencing in a relationship, and somebody who's just like, unless you change, this isn't working for me. But the Devil card can talk about feeling chained to the relationship or chained to the situation, and not feeling like you know how to see your way out of it, and feeling like sometimes it can be like Stockholm syndrome, where, you could leave, but you're like, I'm not going to leave because what would I do? What are we going to do? What am I going to do? And you'll stay in it. So whenever the Devil card comes up, I always tell a client, like, really take a step back and assess the situation and ask yourself, is this something you want to stay in? Do you feel stuck? Is there some aspect of the relationship or the dynamic that could potentially be toxic, or could it be, abusive? Do you have somebody who is also just completely unself-aware? Sometimes this is a card that comes up where somebody will, make you kind of feel bad about yourself and kind of kick you around just to keep you around, because they know that if you don't feel good, you won't leave. I do see that sometimes with this card. So it's going to depend on your situation, but I don't see a separation, but I don't see a separation because I see something where somebody is unwilling to let go, and somebody's also unwilling to change. And there could be a lot of conflict and a lot of ego that's getting involved in the process where, that person's not willing to change. And then you're going to have to look at it and go like, I can't change them. I can only change the way that I respond to them, right? So in situations like this, I always look at the bottom card. The bottom card that I get is the 10 of coins, which is a really odd pairing for the Devil, because it can say, well, we're staying together because we've been married for so long. We stay together because we have kids, because we have a house, we have debt together. Maybe, sure. But 10 of coins is a positive card. It's saying long-term planning and what the long-term plan is. And it can mean that there is some sense of regrouping that's going on and reassessing and kind of being like, look, I can't do this forever. So like, what changes do we need to make? But this is kind of feeling solid, having a legacy, not feeling like you have to divide anything up or divide up resources with the family, and like focusing on your long-term goals. Anyway, I hope that's helpful for you, Holly. All right. So let's now take care of Alana, and then we have Melody and Tiana. What's up, Melody? Let's see. No, sorry, Alana. We're going to take Alana, and then we have Melody. Alana says, I just started seeing a new guy and it seems very promising, but he makes little comments sometimes that he says are jokes, but that push me away, okay? It's ramped up quickly and I'm wondering if it's as good of a match as I thought or just lots of chemistry. Not sure how to take his jokes. He was born January 19th. Okay, so he is a Capricorn Aquarius cusp in Manchester. All right, well, let's take a look. Let's see. I have after Alana, Melody, Tiana, Shiza, Root, Trudy, Corey. Thank you, India. I just saw your name pop up. I'm not seeing a Lily, but let me look. Sometimes there is a delay with PayPal. I got Michelle. I am not seeing a Lily. Unless you sent it under a different name. Oh, Shiza. Okay, so I got you. Yeah, you're in there. All right, so back to Alana's question. So let's see what this new guy, like, is there something here? He's making little comments. He calls them jokes. Let's take a look. So what do we need to know about this guy? All right. Not a bad card, to be honest with you. Not a bad card. I've got Ace of Pentacles coming up. You know, for me, the Ace of Pentacles seems to kind of indicate this is something that's possibly worth holding on to and still kind of sussing out, right? Like, I wouldn't immediately kind of give this person up. That's not to say that if something's bothering you, you don't say something. You know, the Ace of Coins can be kind of indicating, hold on, there's something here. It's not worth rocking the boat right now. It can be about, you know, making an offering to him or being like, hey, I just want to bring this to your attention because I really think things are going well and I'm kind of invested in this, right? At least emotionally. And this is how I feel, right? I feel like also, you know, part of what's kind of going on with this card is you're saying that this is about feeling wanted or appreciated or valued, right? So there can be a sense of you being like, is he not taking me seriously? Like, does he not see what I bring to the table? Like, there can be some stuff that can be coming up that can kind of be affecting your self-esteem. But the Ace of Pentacles is a positive card. It is saying that there is something of value here, right? So we generally don't want to toss something or throw something away. So don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Like, give him a chance, talk to him, maybe invest a little bit more time into this and kind of let him know, like, hey, when you say this, this is how I feel. Like, is this how you really feel? Because you're joking, right? But I don't think that this is a bad thing to kind of to give him up, because when this card comes up for me, I'm usually going to tell a client, well, it looks like you're going to get offered a job, or you're going to make more money, or somebody's going to, you know, make a more serious kind of commitment. It may mean that through this exchange that you have with him and kind of saying to him, like, I really like you, you know, I like being around you. I go out of my way to make you feel wanted. But when you say these things, it kind of questions, it makes me wonder, like, where your head's at, you know, just some food for thought. But I don't think it's necessarily wasting your time and kind of feeling this out. And maybe it's just a matter of letting him know, right? Ace of Coins can also be serious. It's like, hey, you know, I'm taking this serious. And maybe that's what he's doing. He's trying to kind of like lighten up the mood a little bit, but still say something to him. Hopefully that's helpful for you, Alana. Melody, Tiana, and then Shiza. All right, so let's see what Melody has to say. Oh, and you know what, Alana, I'm just seeing, for some reason I thought it was $20. It was not, it was more. So let me pull you 2 other cards for you. All right, so we're gonna stick with this card first. Let's look. So what else does Alana need to know about this guy? Ooh, that card jumped out. It's kind of the same thing I told you. 7 of Swords, Queen of Swords, right? So, you know, my interpretation of this is you're not wasting your time. But the 7 of Swords is like a trickster energy. Like, this is a card where you're like, can I trust this person? You know, like, sometimes this card comes up for people when they feel as if somebody's not being direct, or they're being dishonest, or maybe somebody's being kind of sneaky or being kind of sly. For this to be coming up, I think it's really kind of touching on the fact that you're like, can I trust him? Or is his jokes and what he's saying, does he really mean it? Like, there can be this sense of you like really kind of questioning, like, okay, is this guy just trying to be mean? Is he just pulling on my pigtails and trying to get a reaction out of me? Is this making me feel like, you know, I don't have reason to trust him, right? I mean, you know, that card kind of coming up in the right now is saying, like, it is enough of an issue for you to need to say something, because it can mean that you're having like alarms that are going off right now, where you're like, is he going to take things seriously in the future, or is everything going to be a joke, right? That's kind of how I see it. And then the Queen of Swords is say something to him. Queen of Swords is about expressing what's on your mind. You know, she is somebody who is not nasty, but she's going to be direct and she's going to be to the point. And the way that you communicate with him, obviously, you know, like she's looking away from the Seven of Swords. So this can be like him looking back, being like, wait, what happened? Like, why are you taking it personally? Like, I think it's worth addressing it with him. And if it continues, then it does look like it's going to be a bit of a turnoff. Like the queen kind of looking away from him makes me feel like she's just like, we talked about it already. I don't want to have this conversation again. Or like, I already told you that this is something that creates an insecurity, or I feel like you don't take things seriously. And then, you know, it can be a period of like a cooling off, but it would be more from you, it would not be from him. I also feel like this does indicate that talking to him is going to give him the opportunity to kind of reflect on some of the communication you guys have had and some of the behavior that he has exhibited, and, you know, make him realize that you're like, I'm not playing games. Like, I'm not somebody who's just kind of screwing around. Like, you're with it or you're not with it. And if you're not with it, then, you know, that's fine. But like, I'm not going to stay and continue to rehash some of the same things, because to me, it's less about the jokes. It's more about whether or not somebody really respects you when you tell them how you feel, right? And also in their communication style, do they respect you in the way that they kind of interact with you in the everyday, day-to-day? Until you tell him and create that boundary and you create that line, Queen of Swords, he may not actually really get it, right? So at least the Queen of Swords is coming up saying, like, you know, you've got the upper hand in the situation, but it looks like you're going to tell him once, but you're not going to want to tell him twice. So just don't mince your words, be very direct, and make it be about, hey, when you say this, this is how I interpret it, and I'm interpreting it this way, and this is how I feel. It's not, you make me feel this way. Be very clear with your words and let him know that. Also, it can be a sense of you not taking him seriously, right? Because the Seven of Swords can be like, how do I know when you're serious? You're always joking around, or you're saying things that make me feel like you feel a certain way. How do I know what you really feel, right? Anyway, I hope that's helpful. All right. We've now got Melody and then Tiana. What's up, Melody? Thanks for your patience. She says, my current job has become very chaotic and is failing from lack of leadership. This is taking a toll on my personal goals of traveling, paying off bills, and thriving. What should I do to get things on track? All right, let's take a look with what is going on with Melody at work, how we can get things thriving for her so she can pay off some debt and travel. Saturn is retrograde right now, so we're seeing lots of issues with leadership. Pluto's back in Capricorn, so we're seeing lots of major changes with people in their professions and their careers. All right, so in this order, got the cards all over the place, sorry. All right, so we've got Queen of Pentacles, the Tower, and the Six of Coins. All right. Well, obviously I'm looking at the Tower and I'm like, yeah, shift is going to hit the fan. That's going to happen. I do feel like to some extent, right? I know that this affects you, but I almost see the Tower card in the center position as being like certain things have to happen that will kind of come crashing down to bring a sense of balance to the situation, right? It's like by you bending over backwards, breaking your back, wearing too many hats, trying to do everything, trying to make everything work, trying to fix things, you're taking on stuff that not only is not necessarily your job, but like, you know, you may not be compensated for, all right? Just some food for thought. So Queen of Pentacles coming up, great card. It does talk about being grounded, being focused, having a long-term plan, being dedicated to your job, really focusing on making money. And also this is about you being like, I'm keeping a level, you know, kind of head about the situation. You're not just kind of freaking out, being like, I'm gonna find another job, or I'm gonna do this, or I'm gonna do that. No. Equally, this can be talking about something going on with like an older woman or like a Capricorn, a Taurus, or a Virgo. So I don't know what sign you are or what the deal is with that, but Queen of Pentacles coming up is saying like, look, the situation is solid. You have a job, even though it is causing stress, and I know that it is difficult. She's sitting in her throne and she's just waiting for, you know, people to kind of show up and do their job. Like the Queen doesn't serve anybody, right? And I get it's her job, but she doesn't serve anybody. She is there to do what she is there to do. The Tower card coming up, and you know, there's been a lot of like Tower energy, okay, over the last 2 months. We had a full moon in Capricorn conjunct Pluto. We've had a Mercury retrograde square Uranus, so people have been stressed about money. We've had a lot of we have more oppositions actually coming to Saturn. So you know, the Tower moment is kind of been brewing for a little while, and when people are asking for change, or when people need some big shakeup, or maybe they're praying for something new, like the Tower card will come up. It's pretty common. And the Tower is here to basically say, okay, we're gonna clear everything, right? We're gonna create such a chaotic situation that it's just gonna level the whole situation. So the Tower card in the current position is like, yeah, you're not being dramatic. It is a bit of a mess. It is a bit of like a shit show. But this kind of has to happen. And I think the reason being is maybe it needs to come to the attention of the higher ups that, you know, you have leadership that's not doing their job. Maybe there does need to be a few like major kind of, you know, bumps and bruises, or there needs to be a situation where something finally like falls apart, so that way people kind of realize like, wow, you know, when we have people at the top, Tower, right? And there's a crown up there, by the way, so that can be about rulerships and power and that kind of stuff. When that is not stable, or it's not fully functional, then the Tower falls and everybody else is impacted, right? So you've got all these people that are kind of like victims of some of like the imbalances that are going on at the top, and also the storm that's happening around the Tower. So it is saying a storm is already brewing. So I think that even though it's been challenging, I think there's still more coming. And this Tower moment can very much be associated with like the eclipses. It can be associated with Mars aspects. So we've had some Mars squares where maybe people were getting away with things and they were kind of sweeping it under the rug, and now it's kind of following on people who are kind of beneath upper management. Anyway, Six of Coins is such a relief because you got coins on both sides. So it is saying that if you stay cool, you let the necessary things fall apart that need to fall apart. Yes, it feels chaotic, but the outcome of this makes me feel like, you know, it could be one of several things. It could be that, you know, somebody comes to you and they ask you for your advice, or they say to you, you know, are you getting the support that you need? Like, what's happening here? You know, why is your department, or why is this situation, you know, not doing very well? And you get a chance to kind of speak your mind and be like, this is what's happening, and I'm not getting support, and I'm unable to do my job, and it's also impacting, you know, these other kind of employees or departments because we're not getting what we need. It could also manifest as you getting another offer. If you notice, you know, he's standing there with the scales, and there's the sense of weighing out the situation, and this is about give and take. And it's once again reminding you that there is something out of balance. If you're feeling like, you know, the lack of leadership is impacting you and it's creating more stress and you're giving more, that's not in balance, right? So it can mean that, you know, due to the shakeup that kind of comes up, you know, there is a sense of being like, okay, what do we need? Do we need to restructure? Do we need to hire new people? Do we need to fire some people? You know, do we need to be, you know, making some adjustments? And I think that's what's going to happen. And it could be like within 6 weeks to 6 months time. This could also represent you being like, it gets to a point where it's so chaotic that you're like, you know what? Clearly the upper management is not doing their job. The, you know, CEO or the owner of the company, you know, equally does not seem to realize like how difficult this is becoming. I'm going to see what else is out there. Six of Coins could be somebody who is kind of saying to you, well, what's your experience? Where are you coming from? Why are you leaving? What's going on? And you may actually get an opportunity or an offer to either take a new role, switch companies, take a new job, something like that. And you would be weighing your options, and you would be like, you know, does it make sense to leave? Like, if anything, you may feel kind of bad and go, well, I can stay here and try to fight it out and see if the situation gets better, or, you know, I can consider this other option and I can make a decision to go. I think you may feel kind of bad about jumping ship. That's kind of the feeling that I get, because you might look at it as, you know, I really liked my job, I liked my company, but, you know, things have been screwed up and I'm not getting what I want, and maybe you're afraid to leave, but you're like, staying here, I'm not seeing any options. The good news is I don't really see this negatively impacting you financially. Six of Coins is saying you will have another opportunity, whether it's another job or you get moved to another department, or they say to you, hey, you know, somebody is being fired, or maybe they've quit, you know, would you be interested in this position? Like, you're gonna be taken care of. That's what I can see. But you gotta let the chips fall where they may, because trying to hold up the situation and kind of, you know, super gluing things together, just hoping that it will stay, it's not gonna work. And if enough people stop picking up the slack for the people at the top that aren't doing their job, or if enough people really start to kind of have the issues that they're having, it's going to have a tower effect, and everybody is going to see that, you know, it's not sustainable, I guess, in the long term. I do feel like if you're given the opportunity to talk to somebody at work and give them your insight, or give them some feedback about what you're experiencing and your frustration, and that you do want to stay there, but it's becoming, you know, extremely challenging due to the lack of support, like somebody may very well hear you out, whether that's like a manager, a superior, or somebody at HR. It does look like somebody will appreciate your investment in that sense, and like they will take what you're saying into consideration. I don't think you would be the only one that would be saying that looking at these cards. And I really think that this is about asking yourself in the long term, is this a fair exchange? You know, am I getting paid enough for this? And not only that, like for some people, you know, the money can be great, but you could look at it and go like, this is not sustainable for me in the long term. If you do end up getting another position with the Tower card and the Six of Coins, you know, notice he's got two different people that he's kind of feeding, or, you know, he's giving something to. So it could represent a situation where you go out there and you see what else is out there, and maybe you do get offered a job and you're like, okay, I got this offer, you know, this is what it is. And you go into your upper management and you're like, yeah, I got offered this job and I think I'm going to leave. And you can see if they're going to, you know, take you leaving potentially seriously, and if they really want to keep you, and if they'd be willing to kind of match what the offer is and give you the opportunity to speak your piece and say what you have to say, right? Anyway, so I hope that that's helpful. I think you're safe, but anybody and everybody who's trying to keep this thing together, they need to let it fall. That way you guys can actually really have a sense of kind of balance within your company. Hope that's helpful for you, Melody. All right, so I've got Tiana, Shiza, and Root. All right, so Tiana says, Q4, end of 2024 reading. Let's get it. It's crazy when you think about that, the end of 2024. Where has the year gone? All right, let's see. Readings are now closed, so if we missed you, we'll catch you guys back here next week. We're going to do eclipse readings. All right, Tiana, this is for Q4. No whammies. All right, in this order. Oh, I love me some good cards. All right, so, sorry, I'm moving the cards around. All right, so in this order, Nine of Coins, the Magician, the Queen of Cups. Great cards. Well, for the next quarter, so we've got September, October, November, maybe, okay, so it's going to be more October, November, December, but Nine of Coins, treating yourself, right? Feeling independent, feeling confident, having more than enough. This can be wealth, not just in a sense of resources, but feeling stable, comfortable, being able to really give yourself the things that you need. This is also going to be about being in a situation where, yeah, you feel like you can indulge a little bit in some of the finer things. You know, you see a woman walking in the garden, fine clothes on, lots of fruit trees behind her. She's got a little birdie friend, which is kind of talking about keeping herself company, feeling confident and independent in her own right, not feeling like she has to make any sacrifices or she has to cut any corners. So I think you're going into Q4 being like, everything's straight, I'm good, I have what I need. And also being extremely optimistic about the future, especially when it comes to some of your finances, your work stuff, anything relating to health. There is like there's nothing that I can't do type of attitude. I also feel like this can be a good card or a good message in regards to money coming your way, resources coming your way, and being like, you know what, I work hard, like, and not feeling guilty about buying yourself something or treating yourself. It may mean that, you know, you get to the end of the year and you're like, I am going to take that paid time off and I am going to go on vacation. I'm not going to feel bad about it. Or I am going to buy myself that nice gift that, you know, I've been wanting, or I am going to, you know, kind of indulge a little bit and just make more of an effort when it comes to like your routine. And I don't mean like in a fitness way, but like maybe you're like, yeah, I'm gonna go and get my nails done every month. You know, I'm making that investment. I'm working hard. I'm kind of putting it back into myself. Simple little things that you can do that makes you feel more confident and also like more feminine. So she works hard for the money. The center card is the Magician. So this is also saying things are changing. There is some opportunity on the horizon for change. And this can also mean that the Magician comes in to say, well, what is the reality that you want to create, right? And what's interesting is that like everybody thinks about like the Magician or like a wizard as somebody who, you know, can do all of these magical, mystical things, when in reality, the Magician is kind of saying you already have all of the elements. They're sitting at the table. You have the cups for relationships and support and emotional harmony. You got the pentacles for money and stability. You got the sword for communication and intellect and knowledge. You got the wands for creativity and also enthusiasm. So when the Magician card comes up in the right now moment, it says these are going to be months that are going to be magical. These are months that are going to be about really being able to use manifestation techniques to the best of your ability. The Magician also can be indicating that there is more of an effort to connect with your higher self. There is more of an effort to maybe meditate, to burn a candle, to enchant something, to focus on bringing something in and bringing it into your reality, because the Magician is about what's going on up here in your head or in the ethers and kind of grounding it and bringing it down to reality. The infinity sign above the head also talks about infinite energy, you know, and all of the yellow talks about positivity and feeling that there's a lot of incentive to be able to get things done. There is a sense of yeah, really feeling like not just optimistic, but like you have more energy basically, you know, towards some of your hobbies, towards some of your relationships, what have you. So manifestation is very important. When this card comes up in the right now, I always tell my clients, don't worry so much about the past or the future. The past already happened, you know, the future is undefined. You have to focus on right now. So this can be a period where you're saying to yourself the next month or two, where do I want to be and what small changes and shifts can I make right now that can help bring me some of the results that I'm hoping in the immediate near future. Then we have the Queen of Cups. So the Queen of Cups can be talking about you as a person. It usually is associated with water signs, Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. But the Queen of Cups is an interesting card because this is also about development of relationships, right? And so there is this sense of really knowing and feeling into what your heart needs and coming to terms with some things emotionally regarding relationships and what you're seeking. And like, can you be a little bit more dreamy and romantic? Sure. But the Queen of Cups is looking at the Magician. So it can mean that she's saying like, I'm manifesting love, right? I'm manifesting new relationships. I am manifesting, you know, something that's going to come in that's going to knock my socks off. It can also mean that there is an interest that you may have in somebody and they're kind of intriguing and they're different and they're mystical and they're magical and you're just getting to know them and you're like, what is this? This is crazy. I am infatuated with this person. It can also be that female water signs come in and they're supportive of you and they're kind of encouraging you, and you've got a lot of like women or like, you know, family or water signs that are around you that are encouraging you to, you know, believe in some of the things that you're doing. It may mean that what's really missing right now is more of like that relationship, intimacy, romance in your life. And you're like, I want to bring some of that in too. And then the Queen of Cups in the final position is also about really making sure that everything that you're doing, your heart's in it. It's like it's very much all or nothing, right? Where the other queens are kind of like, okay, it's going to be for business. It's going to be, you know, for fun. It's going to be for money. Queen of Cups is the person who's like, no, I want love, right? Everything else doesn't necessarily matter as much. What I want is love. I want a real solid connection. So it looks like there's a lot of reinvesting and focusing on yourself and figuring out what you want. And then maybe like that intention or that work that you're doing on yourself is kind of bringing somebody kind of into your orbit. And the more that you're focusing on what it is that you need emotionally, I think the much more likely it is to appear. Yes, working on pivoting my lifestyle, my career, and my personal betterment. Yeah, so I mean, the emotional benefit that this is going to have on you is going to be amazing. I feel like you're going to go, anything that I put my mind to, I was able to make happen. And like, just the astrology across the board in 2025 is crazy. We're going to see Saturn go into Aries, Neptune go into Aries, Uranus is going to go into Gemini, Jupiter is going to go into Cancer. we're actually going to see all the planets change signs next year. You know, the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, Mars, they always change signs. But the outer planets, they're all changing signs, which means everything is changing. And we're moving to more fire and air energy, which is going to be fast. It's going to be masculine. So next year is a huge leap forward, and then we have to kind of backtrack a little bit. We have to kind of pack up our old life and move into the next thing. But really, this is the emotional shifts, I think, that you're focusing on between now and the new year, okay? Hopefully that's helpful for you, my dear. Sending lots of good vibes for Q4. We've got Shiza, which I believe was going under Lily. All right, and then after that, we have Root and Trudy. Shiza says, I haven't spoken to my ex-best friend Kay in 3 years. Does she miss me or has she moved on? Does she have any quality friends in her life currently? Let's take a look. So Lily wants to know about the ex-friend Kay. Haven't spoken in 3 years. What is her situation? What has she got going on with her friends? What can we see? You're an Aqua and your friend is a Libra. Okay. So what do we see about Kay? All right. In this order. Okay. So we have 3 of Swords, 10 of Swords, 8 of Cups. Well, truth be told, these are probably some of the worst cards that you can pull in the deck. So they're all minors, right? They're all minors, which means they are changeable situations. But if you're asking, does she miss me? Has she moved on? Well, there doesn't seem to be a lot of missing somebody. There still seems to be some hurt feelings, right? Moving on, the moving on card is the 8 of Cups. So it does look like she has moved on. But 3 of Swords, 10 of Swords is definitely pretty gnarly. You know, the swords are about going through a whole series of events where there is a lot of mental anguish, miscommunications, hurt feelings. There can also be some fear that's coming up or some really difficult conversations. So 3 of Swords is the broken heart card, right? So I don't think she feels good about the fact that you guys stopped talking, but the 3 of Swords is kind of saying, look, something happened in the past where something went down between you guys that looked like it could not be reconciled. Like a misunderstanding, a conversation you had, something that was said, something with some kind of back and forth where, you know, I feel like there is no coming back. You know, the 3 of Swords you can heal as long as you can sit down and discuss the situation and come to terms with what happened. Even if you got your feelings hurt, your heart broken, you can fix it. But the 10 of Swords is saying, like, you know, maybe now at this point in time, it seems like too much time has passed. It seems like maybe the situation was kind of put, you know, it was put to rest, or she kind of saw it as, you know, one person potentially, you know, stabbed somebody in the back or did something that's not unforgivable. You know, the 10 of Swords is like, that's it, you know, stick a knife in it, it's done. So with these 2 cards coming up, I feel like there was a lot of hurt feelings. I think there still is hurt feelings, but the 10 of Swords is looking at the situation being like, you know, what has happened has happened, and there's been so much time that's kind of gone past, and there's been too much that kind of went down between us that's a dead end. Then you have the 8 of Cups, which is about like moving forward and not looking back. So there's not a lot of focusing on reconnecting here. There is definitely not a lot of, you know, looking at the situation and reminiscing. It's more looking at the situation and being like, yeah, what happened between us really hurt me, you know, but that was kind of like the final moment that made me realize, you know, we can't continue to kind of connect. And it could be you or her, but she's looking at the situation being like, I was hurt to the point where it cannot be resuscitated. So therefore, I have no other choice but to kind of move on. Now, what I will tell you is there's not a lot of cards coming up talking about her social situation. You know, there's not a bunch of cards showing her, you know, off celebrating. You're not seeing like the 4 of Wands, 3 of Cups, where I'd be like, yeah, she made new friends. She's kind of moved on. In all of these cards, notice that it's lonely and isolating, right? So 3 of Swords is cloudy. You've got the dark sky here with the person who's face down alone. So there could have been this feeling of like, you know, being abandoned or not being understood or being left behind. And then you have the Eight of Cups, which is walking away from the situation on their own. This is literally a card that says sometimes if if you got to go, even if it means you have to go your own way by yourself, you walk. So there's not a lot of togetherness. I'm not really seeing a lot of emphasis on new relationships, new friends. Not that that necessarily matters. Maybe it matters to you, but this is her being like, I would rather, kind of go my own way rather than stay and try to fix or work on the situation. So I don't know what happened, but there's enough cards here to be like, this is done. Even if you guys were really close and you guys were good friends, feelings were hurt and things went down that look like they cannot be forgiven, and that there's been so much time that's been passed, and also that she's kind of moved on, that I don't really see a reconciliation. And I also don't really feel like it's been easy for her to recover from whatever happened, between the two of you guys. She says she's very fake and wanted more friends than quality friendships. So, there you go. Whatever was said, whatever went on between the two of you guys, I think that this is definitely a situation that's better left closed. If this is her looking at the situation that's like, wow, it really hurt my feelings, what you said or what you did, like, that's not necessarily the I'm not saying that's the reality of what happened. From her perspective, if you're saying, how does she feel? This is her perspective. That hurt. I didn't understand why she did what she did. She acted that way. She stabbed me in the back. She said something mean about me, and then she left or whatever. This is her perspective. And I think that if that's the case, then you're better off, and I don't see a lot of people around her. So regardless of what she had going on then, these cards seem to kind of indicate that there is a sense of feeling, lonely as she's kind of walking away, right? Eight of Cups is like, I have to go and figure this out by myself. It can also indicate, a series of events or a series of exchanges with people where maybe she's having that lesson over and over, right? Three of Swords and, 10 of Swords is like, first there was one, but then there could have been several. It took more than one person to put all those swords in her back. So she could have had a couple situations with multiple people that were kind of surfacey, or maybe she was having issues with people to a point where she's just like, why is everybody mad at me? What's going on? What did I do? Like, why are people being like this to me? And then she moves on. And she can be continuing that pattern without a realization that she may potentially play a role in this situation or in that dynamic. But yeah, I think in this case, it's case closed. So hopefully that's helpful for you. It looks like you dodged a bullet on that one, to be honest with you. Better leaving that alone. All right, so I've got Root, Trudy, and then Corey. And then I've got Michelle, Janae, is that Sesame? Am I saying that right? All right, so we've got Root. Am I saying your name correctly? Root Sophia. 3 cards. I am on the verge of accepting an opportunity and originating a huge job change. Might be leaving my job of 5 years for an internship in a different field for data engineering. I'm afraid of thinking that right now. It seems to be what I would like to pursue as a career, and that would be the best move for the medium and long term, but then end up regretting it. So is accepting this internship the best decision for my professional or personal life? All right. Oh, there's a card over here. All right, so let's take a look. So should they accept this, potential internship, make the job jump from a 5-year job position to this new field? Is accepting it a good idea for both their professional and personal life? Let's see what the cards say. All right, in this order. Ooh, that's a clear yes. That is a clear yes. I love it when people ask about their job and then in the final position they get the Emperor. So it's kind of skipping ahead a little bit, but that's okay. 7 of Wands, 2 of Swords, the Emperor. Well, I think about the 7 of Wands, which is a card that is about standing your ground. Knowing what's best for you, not backing down, willing to kind of show up to the challenge, even if it feels difficult or if it feels hard. And that could mean changing your schedule, changing careers, telling your boss that you're gonna, that you quit or that you're giving notice, or, being willing to kind of go into uncharted territory revolving around this career change. Truth be told, that Two of Swords in the current position, I mean, obviously if you're asking about this, but the Two of Swords is saying you're still very undecided. It's like, okay, if I do this, this could happen. If I do that, that could happen. What do I do? And if you're asking me specifically if this is going to be a good move and if you're going to regret it, no. But you have a window of opportunity that you're working with here, because Two of Swords is about kind of being like, do I do this or do I do that? Do I do this? And if you take too long to make a decision, sometimes you could miss your window of opportunity. So if you're taking a long time to get back to them regarding the internship and you keep extending it, or maybe you don't know how to kind of tell your current, job, hey, I need to give you notice, or this is, when I'm leaving, be very careful, because if you think about this too long with the Two of Swords being here, not only will you drive yourself crazy, but you might miss the ship. Two of Swords is also about really sitting and really feeling into something, right? She's sitting there with two swords, doesn't want to make a decision yet. She's blindfolded, the moon's above her, the water's at her feet. So it says that you really want to listen to what your heart is telling you, listen to what your emotions are telling you, your intuition is telling you. What is going to seem like the most exciting? And probably the thing that's going to be the most exciting is going to be whatever is going to be the scariest. So if it's scary to you to quit your job, change jobs, go in another direction, that's likely where you're going to be the most successful. I don't think you're going to regret anything. I kind of feel like when people ask me a question like this and the Two of Swords come up, 9 times out of 10, in the rest of the reading, because I'll do like a full spread, usually they end up kind of seeing that if they didn't take this chance, they would always end up regretting not taking it. So let's say you pass on the internship and you stay at the job. You may stay at the job and not see any growth, and then you'll stay in that position, indefinitely, or until you decide to finally make a move, and you'll be like, man, I should have taken that opportunity when I had it, Offered yesterday and deadline on Monday. Already have some technical skills along with helpful skills that I can pivot. Recently completed a post degree in data science practice. Okay. But I'm afraid of not being good enough for the position or not enjoying further down the line. That's why I have doubts. Yes. Yeah. I mean, honestly, I think it's a good move, because I feel like the Two of Swords is just kind of like spinning your wheels with where you're currently at. And I can tell you that I've had this spread before, specifically about making some job changes. And I remember the Two of Swords coming up, and I was just like, if I think about this for too long, I know that I'm going to kind of like chicken out and I'm not going to do it. And so, the Emperor coming up in the final position is about, it's about being confident, and it's about being like, yes, I can, where this is like, I don't know, what if this happens? What if that happens? Like, you can what if until the cows come home. But the Emperor is not questioning, not doubting. It's rising to the occasion. It's mastering something. It's being successful. It's taking charge of the situation. It's aggressive. It's masculine. And it is willing to do what it takes to be the best of the best. And this can also mean that you may also be working with somebody, because you said that you're going to be interning. You might be working under somebody who is going to be like, really good at what they do, or they have been doing it for a long time, or they're like a manager, or they're a leader of a department, or whatever. And like, can they be intimidating? Like, can it be a lot of work? Yeah, but I think that it's going to be fulfilling and very rewarding. So that in itself makes me feel like if you make this jump, I think you're going to feel more confident in your skills. And I also feel like you're probably going to see a lot more progress in regards to your career. Like, you're going to see your career really start to kind of like level up. Like, you'll be able to kind of climb that ladder a lot faster, especially with some of the training or like the particular company that you're going to be working with. So I say, yeah, do it. I think it's a good move. And also, making choices. And it looks like, regardless of what was being offered to you, that Seven of Wands coming up tells me that you were like, I'm determined to find something else, or I'm determined to, to continue my education or to evolve from where I'm at currently. You're not wanting to stay stagnant. So because you made that decision, whether that's going to school or seeking a job or an internship, like this is what was presented to you. So don't doubt that. Be very yes or no about everything. That's really going to help you when it comes to some of your success with your future job. Okay? Always decide very carefully. Well, Yes, the internship opportunity came along, and this kind of internship, D, aren't very common, at least in my country. I'm seeing this as a blessing, and it's very good for me. You're welcome. Good luck with the new job. It's like the king of the hill card, you know? Nobody's going to knock you down. You're just going to stay on top. I like that. All right, we got Trudy, and then Corey, you're on deck, and Michelle. What's up, Trudy? Trudy says, Friday night 3-card reading. I've had a couple readings with you. You are a Capricorn, 12383. Cap, Sun, Virgo, Moon. My question is regarding work. Will I receive a promotion in or by April of 2025? Let's take a look. Hey girl, I pulled for you. Go back and look at the readings right after Kayla and right before Holly. But I did your reading. And I did not forget about India. I've got you too. All right, so let's take a look and let's see. Come back to this. Here we go. All right, so do we see Trudy getting a promotion on or by April of 2025? Let's take a look. What's your rising sign? Because you're Capricorn, so you're about to have an eclipse in Libra. So there's definitely going to be some work stuff that's going to pop up for you, Trudy. That'll be the beginning of October, the 2nd of October. All right, here we go. We've got the 3 of Cups with the 9 of Coins and the Strength card. I actually see, I see this being pretty positive. I would say like getting a raise or getting a promotion. I would want to see like Ace of Coins, 8 of Coins, 9 of Coins, 10 of Coins. Those would be my promotion cards. So you have the 9 of Coins coming up and the 3 of Cups. You know, 3 of Cups coming up is talking about working and collaborating with a team. It can be about getting feedback and other people who are complimentary on your work. It can be based off of your skills and how you're working and collaborating with a group of people, you know, within your department. It can also be about people encouraging you or speaking highly of you or giving you a lot of like really positive feedback. Or there can be gatherings, meetings, celebrations. It can be something where you're talking about this like around like a holiday party. 3 of Cups I can see as like a holiday party. That's about the future of what's going to be coming next year, and they may start talking about that. I've had a couple difficult months where I had to define my boundaries. Things seem to be better now, and I've realized I have a lot to offer. Cool. Well, I mean, I think that, you know, for having a couple difficult months and executing or issuing some boundaries with people, 3 of Cups is saying like things are flowing well now. Like maybe it was a situation where you had to do that so people realized like not to screw with you, you know, and that like you weren't going to be kind of pushed around or that you weren't going to be treated a certain way, and you stood up for yourself, and now people respect you more for it. But 3 of Cups is harmony. So that's about harmonizing and working well with other people, and whatever, you know, issues you guys have, to me, it looks like it's squashed. 9 of Coins in the current position is about knowing your worth, which is what you just said, having a lot to offer, feeling confident in the work that you're doing, showing up, doing a quality job, being presentable, you know. I mean, the 9 of Coins is a lot about how you look and how you carry yourself. So as silly as it sounds, it's about going into work and being like, you know, just like having confidence in the way that you dress, the way that you deal with people, the way that you interact with people. And also like not feeling bad about being in the spotlight sometimes. Like I could see the 3 of Cups as being like, I get on well with other people at work, but I'm not there to make friends. You know, I'm here to work, and there can be an aspect of your work that can be, it can be a little competitive, right? With the 3 of Cups coming up. And so the 9 of Coins is where you step aside and you're not trying to get cliquey with certain people. Or maybe when you're at work, you're like, I'm not there to socialize or to gossip, or I'm not picking teams. Like I'm here because I'm trying to get recognized for what I'm doing. So there can be this sense of playing nice with people, but knowing when to separate yourself from the crowd. and really carrying yourself in a very kind of professional way. And that means that, you know, when it comes to time, you know, and your interaction with other people, it's extra important for you to be taking that seriously. And dress to impress with 9 of coins. It's like, you know, maybe you're investing in some new work clothes, or maybe you're focusing on, you know, like kind of getting more so ready in the morning, or feeling more presentable in how you're coming to work. That is part of that particular card. And then the Strength card coming up is saying like managing and handling the situation in a way where you're not forcing it, you're letting it come to you. This may be around the full moon that's going to happen in Leo. That's going to be in Aquarius season. So you may see this right around that time. The Strength card is about having the inner strength, that's knowing that the only way that you can make something happen is basically by, you know, not taking your hands off the wheel and being like, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. I just got to be eyes on the prize and know that it will come to me. And I think that also the Strength card is saying like knowing how to tackle or handle situations at work and doing it in a caring, like loving, gentle manner. Like this is about taming the beast, right? So it can mean that, you know, when there's difficult situations, knowing how to handle the situation or approach the situation where people aren't seeing you as being confrontational or people aren't seeing you as being a threat. It's about you being like diplomatic and like knowing how to work well with other people and handle situations, especially under pressure. And that will end up kind of playing into your favor. But I have this feeling that probably somewhere around the end of the year is when you're going to start hearing, and I don't know if you guys have reviews or what happens, but there may be some more talk about that and where the future is going with certain positions at the end of the year. And then maybe you're going to see this closer to like February, March of 2025. But the sure shoe-in card for me is the 9 of coins, that you're going to end up getting kind of paid more, that you're going to be shown just how much you're valued and what you bring to the table. Just be mindful that you're there to work, and even if you potentially get, you know, invited to things or you make friends at work, like there is a sense of you kind of staying in your own path and not wanting to feel like you're losing some sense of, you know, kind of like exposure. Like there's eyes on you at work with the 9 of coins coming in. Agree, I thought I'd be happy and content with the recent promotion. However, I realize my work is valued as I have experience that align with the work objective. My boss and I acknowledge how much I've grown, but I have not mentioned anything about wanting a promotion directly. Let it come to you. I think that by the time you're getting to the end of the year, you're going to hear that there's going to be possibilities for that. I don't think it's going to be overlooked at all. I don't think that's the case, especially with the 9 of coins, because of, you know, how things are progressing even more. If you think you've progressed, you know, the 9 of coins and the Strength card is saying there's only going to be more between now and the beginning of the year. Okay. And also with the Strength card, it's like everything is working out for me. You know, everything is coming to me. That, you know, my recognition, my appreciation from my bosses, you know, this new promotion, more money. It's like, yes, it's coming to me. And that's what you kind of want to think about and you want to envision with the Strength card coming up. All right, so I'm going to take Asia because I don't want her to think I forgot about her. Thanks for your patience. Or wrong country or continent, India, I'm sorry. Hey Candace, what are the card's thoughts on the upcoming eclipses related to love and partnership? Okay, I'm a Libra sun, Pisces moon, Aries rising. Ooh, you're getting hit all over, girl. All right, so India, just a quick kind of run through, right? So if you're a Aries rising, the lunar eclipse is in your 12th house, which is going to be about reflection, releasing, letting things go, your intuition, work that you're doing behind the scenes. It's ruled by Jupiter. So it's communication, intuitive development. It can be a lot of dream stuff coming on and shifts regarding your communication. Then you're going to have the Libra eclipse. So it'll be a solar eclipse in Libra, and that's going to be in your 7th house of relationships. Somewhere, I would assume, if your sun is anywhere around 10 degrees, it's going to affect your sun. It's a south node eclipse. Solar eclipses bring action. It can bring new opportunities for relationships and partnerships. And then that's the one that you want to focus on, right? The south node is still in Libra. So as the south node is going through Libra, there is lots of karmic relationship changes, things going on. People from the past can come back. People from past lives can come back if you believe in that. And your sun is the ruler of your 5th house. So it's about romance. So you just came out of Mercury retrograde in your 5th. There could have been lots of changes in terms of what you want in relationships. Now you have a solar eclipse to kind of set those intentions. And then in the spring of next year, you're going to have an Aries solar eclipse, and you're going to have a lunar eclipse in Virgo. So it's like you're getting hit all over with some of your placements. So those eclipses are definitely going to affect you. Anyway, let's see what the cards say. So what can India expect with these eclipses? So we have got 5 of coins, the Hermit card, and the 6 of cups. Well, what can I say about this? I'm wondering, because you're what did you have in, you have something in Pisces. What was in Pisces? Pisces moon. Okay. So from, you know, the lunar eclipse, right? The lunar eclipse is going to be in Pisces in your 12th house. And you'll hear that for Pisces placements, and you should listen to your moon sign because it's a lunar eclipse. You'll hear for the Pisces prediction, you're changing and, you know, it's impacting you emotionally and how you feel and your relationships. And so you may feel like the Pisces eclipse does something there, whether it clears something out or it brings something in. I'm saying that because I'm looking at the Hermit card that comes last in this spread. So it makes me feel like there can be some relationship stuff that's coming up. It can be relationships that you have with your coworkers. It can be the relationships that you have with siblings. The list goes on. So it can be multiple people. But 5 of coins in the previous position tells me that what you're coming from is a period of being like, I'm not getting enough. And this could be enough support. This could be enough money. This could be enough appreciation, you know, enough affection. If you're asking specifically about love and relationships, I mean, come on, you're an Aries rising. You've been having eclipses in Libra for like the last year plus. So there's been all kinds of changes going on in your relationship. So maybe you have been feeling like people have been getting cleared out, or people haven't been staying, or there's been a sense of people coming in that bring you lessons. And then you're like, man, I'm getting left high and dry. Part of this can also be the North Node's in your first house. So a lot of the focus is with what's going on with you personally. And Chiron's there, right? You've been having eclipses in your first house, which is about being a little bit more fierce and independent. I would pay attention to what happens over the next 6 months, 6 of Cups. Because, you know, your chart ruler, Mars, is going to go retrograde in Aries, in Leo. So it'll be in your 5th house. So for your chart ruler to go retrograde in the 5th house, it's very similar to what you just went through with this Mercury retrograde, right? So, you know, if you were reevaluating, do I want to date again? Do I not? Do I want to get out there and meet people? Do I not? You know, is somebody from the past coming back? Am I going to let them back in? Am I ready? Then when Mars goes retrograde, at least you're going to have a little bit more control. You're going to have a little bit more power revolving around romantic relationships. And the one thing that I would say is that it seems like with the 6 of Cups coming up, it could be about reconnections, hearing from somebody from the past, reflecting on the past, connecting to a soulmate. You guys know, if you've seen my channel, I'm not like one of those like twin flame readers, but the card for reconnection and feeling a really deep kind of soul connection and like tied to somebody would be the 6 of Cups, because it's familiar, it's safe, right? It's comfortable. And there is this feeling of it being very innocent and kind of beautiful when this card comes up. So it can be talking about moving out of a period where you feel like you haven't been getting enough, you know, over the next 6 months, moving into a period where you're like, I just want more fun. I want more romance. You know, I really want to enjoy myself. Perhaps the Mars retrograde in your 5th house will give you the opportunity to do that. I think it will. I think that I would pay attention if, you know, people from the past come back or they're wanting to reconnect with you. 5th house can be people from high school, and it will oppose Pluto in your 11th. So there's going to be this theme revolving around defining, is this a romantic relationship? Is this a friendship? Like, where do we stand with each other? And that's going to get kind of worked out there as well. Anyway, final card is the Hermit card. So this is a period of, in the future, reflecting and being like, is this what I want? Also, this can be talking about a connection, a reunion, or meeting somebody that seems very familiar. That could be a Virgo, right? So obviously having a Pisces moon, you know, bringing in a Virgo can be interesting, because there's definitely going to be a lot of stuff that's going to be going on with the sun-moon opposition. You guys would, or if they have those placements, you guys would make like a full moon. So pay attention to like a Virgo energy. It could be sun, moon, or rising. The Hermit card can also be about you kind of like reflecting on things and then being like, okay, if somebody does come into my life and I meet them, there can be this sense of me asking myself, do I really want this person? Is it a match? Am I ready? You know, is this really what I want? Are they what I've been seeking and kind of calling in and like asking for? And what I like about the Hermit card is that the Hermit card says that, you know, you can take time and you can kind of go and sit with this for a little bit and then you can come back. Unlike like the Fool card, which just kind of leaps into things, or the Hangman, which gets stuck. You know, the Hermit card has the ability to say, you know what, just give me a couple hours, let me sleep on it, or give me a few days and I'll get back to you and then I'll have the answer. So maybe it's going to be about adjusting. And if you've been in a situation where you haven't had relationships that have been working, or you haven't been getting what you want, or maybe you're just so used to kind of like, you know, not feeling the love, or people not making an effort, or being on your own, somebody may come in that really surprises you, that just genuinely wants to spend time with you. They want to hang out with you. They want to get to know you. They're enjoying, you know, the whole process of kind of falling in love. And it can be this like really sweet kind of connection. And then there can be like this sense of you being like, wait a second, like, what's the catch? You know, because you're not used to that, or there has been such a long period of you not having somebody who's been good to you or like genuine, that you have to take time and reflect, like, is it me? Am I doubting this? Like, am I afraid to be vulnerable? Like, you know, so there's going to be this sense of you kind of reevaluating things a little bit. I don't think it's bad. I do think that it's going to be a pretty stark contrast from where you've been. She says, past relationships have lacked intellectual stimulation, and I'm seeking that for a future connection. Well, the Hermit card is connected with Virgo. I mean, it's mercurial, you know, like it's somebody who is caring, and they're like interested in things, and they have obviously a vast amount of knowledge about everything. They seem to know a little bit about everything. So there can be this sense of you taking your time and really getting to know somebody, and then really recognizing and seeing some of the qualities that you like. And I think it's just very different than where you've been. But don't rush into it. Take your time and kind of be present with the situation and feel it out. But like, man, a solar eclipse in your 7th house that you're going to have. You know, I talked about this in my eclipse video and also my eclipse webinar. Both of the eclipses, right? One's going to be in Pisces, one's going to be in Libra, are going to get reactivated in March and April of 2025. Because Venus will go retrograde in Aries. It'll oppose the Libra eclipse. It'll retrograde into the same degree as the Pisces eclipse. Mercury will do the same thing, and then we are going to have a solar eclipse in Aries, which is going to oppose the solar eclipse in Libra. So it's like, for some people, I have a feeling the eclipse season hits and they're like, nothing happened, you know, like what, nothing's going on. But you'll see that actually in the spring, a lot of stuff will happen for you, because Venus, which rules your 7th, will go retrograde in your 1st house into your 12th. And that could be a time where you're like, oh my God, I met my soulmate, you know, or like I realized what I really want in a relationship, or I brought somebody in. And then Venus will hit the North Node and Saturn. What? So lots of relationship karma is definitely like coming up in a very, 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 very big way next year for you. So pay attention to what's happening about like 6 months from now. I think that's when it's going to really start to get colorful. All right. Hopefully that's helpful for you, India. Thanks for watching. All right. I got Corey and then Michelle. What's up, Corey? Corey says, can you tell me about long-term health? Let's do it. Corey wants to know about long-term health. Can we give him a card and see what he needs to know? All right, so Corey, I got 4 of Cups. Okay. Star Dad. Is Pluto coming for me? Why, are you a Capricorn rising? For who else I have in the queue, I have Michelle, Janae, and Sesame. Those are the other 3 people that I have. Those are the other 3 people that I have. All right. So here's what I have to say for you, Corey. 4 of Cups is more about emotional health. It's less about physical health. Right? So this card coming up, you know, obviously you see him, he's sitting there, he's got his arms crossed. 4 of Cups can be talking about being disappointed. It can talk about feeling down. Sometimes this is a card that comes up with like emotional, you know, depression, feeling kind of overwhelmed, feeling like you're not necessarily getting clarity. This can also be a card that's talking about being frustrated and not being totally thrilled about some of the options that are being presented to you, right? This is a minor arcana card though. So these situations are temporary. They're not like forever guaranteed things. When I look at this card, I think about him sitting there with the 3 cups in front of him, which could represent 3 different situations or 3 different potential diagnoses or 3 different potential paths in terms of like how you could be handling or treating something. So it can be saying that the solution to health-related issues are right in front of you. You have access to them, right? There's nothing that's keeping you or holding you back from being able to have access to some of this stuff that can actually improve your health. But notice that his legs are crossed, his arms are crossed. So it's like, well, I don't want to take that path, and I don't want to take that path either. And like, I don't like this, or, you know, maybe somebody's saying to you, well, this is what you need to do in order to be making some changes to some of your long-term health. But you're like, I don't want to do that. You know, there's got to be an easier way. What else can I do? You know, and sometimes not wanting to accept, right? Especially because he's not accepting the cup that's being handed to him, the potential solution. Now, the Ace of Cups can also be saying working with somebody. So it can be a doctor, a healthcare provider, a trainer, a nutritionist, a healer, you know, a therapist, whatever. Somebody who's like, I think this is going to help you. You know, you should try this. This is what you should do. Because you may feel like with the 3 of Cups at your feet that you're like, I've already tried those, you know, solutions, or I've tried that medication, or I've tried that lifestyle change and it didn't work for me. So like, why should I try this? And the Ace of Cups coming up, you know, from the sky is saying that there is some opportunity or some relationship or some person who's going to be offering you some kind of help or some kind of support. The question is, are you going to take that support? And are you receptive to letting somebody help you? And how can some of these physical potential, you know, health issues or ailments actually be rooted in some emotional things? And the balance between the physical and the emotional that can take place, and having somebody who can be compassionate and understanding and see your perspective and maybe your frustration with what's going on with health stuff, or maybe feeling some of the setbacks or the delays or the challenges, and the impact that that has on you mentally or and emotionally, which could, for some people, sideline or delay their ability to make any physical progress, right? So this may talk about the implementing and bringing in what can be some emotional health practitioner work, or it can be some healing work, or it can be somebody who's coming in that's just like, I really want you to try this treatment or this solution. I really think this is going to work for you. And you might be like, well, everything else didn't work, so why should I give this a try? And I would say keep an open mind and stay optimistic. Just know the next card that comes up is the 5 of Cups. So if we don't make these changes or make those adjustments or take those opportunities, we can actually get into a situation where we feel stuck, right? So this is about recognizing that there is like a mind, body, spirit balance that you're trying to do. And the shift of having the support of the right person or the right practitioner, you know, with you seems to make all of the difference. And you need somebody who's going to be compassionate and be willing to help you look for solutions, especially if you feel like you have recently hit a wall with finding some answers regarding some of your health situations. Hopefully that's helpful for you. We've got Michelle and then Janae. You're welcome. All right, Michelle says she's a Pisces rising, Leo sun, Cap moon. Anything in the cards for the rest of 2024 in regards to career or romance? All right, let's take a look. What do we need to know for 2024 and 2025? Is there anything that comes up with career or romance? All right, in this order. It looks more positive for career stuff than for romantic things. That's just my opinion. So looking at this, we've got the 9 of Swords, the 8 of Coins, and the 3 of Swords. It's almost like you're going, all right, I've been through some stuff, but I'm really dedicated to like being able to make situations better, you know, or there may be a sense of you looking at, you know, stress and anxiety that's been kind of going on, revolving around work, money, relationships, and more of a shift of focus with what's going on with your work and your professional life. Obviously, these are 2 difficult cards, right? 9 of Swords and 3 of Swords is basically saying, you know, there's stress, there's anxiety, there's worry that's coming up about the future. You know, are things going to get better next year? You know, is there going to be a shift? Am I going to kind of catch a break? But the Nine of Swords is a card that, you know, you have no control over the outcome. Whatever is going to happen is going to happen. So better managing stress and like worrying about things is like number one priority, top priority. Stop stressing over things that you cannot change, right? Well, we can change jobs, we can change relationships, what have you, but things that you cannot change or worrying about the future, that's something that you want to be mindful of not doing. 2 is the Eight of Coins in the center position is saying working hard on yourself, working hard when it comes to your resources, making money, developing your career. I really see this as you being like possibly in a situation where you've been a little burnt out, and whether this has been, you know, burnt out with relationships or burnt out with work, it almost seems like you can't keep continuing with both things. So if you're a Pisces rising, eclipse is in your first house, Saturn in your first house, you're going to learn really quick. It's self-preservation 101. Whether that means realizing I can't be in certain relationships if it's not going to be conducive to my mental health, or if it means that you can't, you know, live in certain places if you're not going to feel like you're going to have peace, or if you're going to have a stable home environment because Jupiter's shaking things up in your fourth. And obviously, you know, Leo Sun's had gone through like a Mercury retrograde. So there's been a lot of things that have been kind of going on that has been about reassessing your health and your habits and your routine. So that's still bringing the attention back to your first house. An eclipse in your first house and a retrograde in your sixth is about health, habits, and routine. Those are the most important things. So rather than stressing out about, oh my God, what's going to happen? It's like, okay, let's come up with a plan. Let's stick to a routine. Let's focus on what I can change. And I feel like then you got Pluto going back into Capricorn, you know, so that's in itself is going to be, you know, creating some big changes revolving around your moon. When I put it all together, I kind of feel like the shift towards building things that are going to be long-term for you, whether this is long-term financial goals, work-related things, stability in your professional life, relationships that are going to be of value. You're willing to do the work as long as you feel like there's going to be an even exchange. And for all Pisces risings, you know, the next 2 years, I'm going to tell you guys, South Node going through your 7th house, you're going to see eclipses there next spring. There are going to be changes in relationships. It doesn't have to be bad, but there will be changes in relationships. Most likely, you're either going to meet karmic relationships or people from the past will kind of come around. But people who are in relationships who have Pisces risings, you're going to see some stuff's going to change. With Saturn and Neptune in your first house, you're going to either prefer to be alone, you're going to want some space, you're not going to be so sure about relationships, and it'll make sense as you kind of get into the transit next year. Three of Swords being the final card is saying that, you know, working through emotional related issues, heartbreak, and issues revolving around relationships. And I see this more as healing, right? So rather than being like, oh my God, what if I don't meet anybody, or what if things don't change? You know, the emphasis here is on work on what you can work on, and that's yourself or your work. The Three of Swords is about healing and pulling the swords out and recognizing and acknowledging, like, I have to tend to some of these issues or some of these emotional things that are coming up or stuff that I have not resolved. I have to deal with that. I can't just work through it. So if you try to throw yourself into work, you know, the emotional stuff and the relationship stuff is still going to come up for you, and you're going to have to process that and work through that. Perhaps, you know, you have been doing that. You've had a Mercury retrograde in your 7th. So that's probably been happening the last like month or two. But you will see more of this in spring of next year when there is a retrograde in your first house and there's an eclipse in your 7th. And that's going to be about you being like, okay, am I ready? So you can be feeling like closer to spring of next year. It's definitely more prepped and primed for relationships. But for like the next 8 months or so, there's a lot of just focusing on how you can have more stability and how you can be building yourself up and having security in the things that you love doing or the things that you take pride in doing. Because the Eight of Coins is about working on something that you love and being very productive and bringing in resources from some of your natural talent. So it's really honing in on that really for you, you know, the next like 8 months or so. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Michelle, enjoy that eclipse. Enjoy that eclipse. We have Janae. Sorry, I don't always see the name that comes up. We have N. One card reading. I have gotten a reading from you about 2 months ago about my mom's passing in July and where to go from here. Brief update. Hold on, this is long. There has been a bit of musical chairs going on in relationships for me, not necessarily romantic per se, but I have experienced moments of sweetness that have been nothing, have been a soothing self for pain. Since relationships seem to be a bit of a theme for me, I would like to know more about the mystery person that my mom was dreaming about. Any messages? I am a Aquarius rising, Cancer sun, Leo moon. I still listen to our last reading often. It brings me so much peace. Thank you so much for taking time to read for me. You're welcome. All right, let me see what I can find. Sorry, it doesn't always show me the message up front. All right, so let's take a look. Let's see what we can tell you, if there's any messages revolving around this mystery person that your mom was dreaming about right before she passed. All right. So what can the tarot tell us about this? Interesting. Two of Wands is the card that you get, which is a card that's about movement, travel, options, choices. What I like about this card is that he's standing between the two wands, which is kind of like it's like a doorway, right? It's like you're crossing a threshold. So it's saying you have to physically make the conscious decision to say, yes, I'm taking a step forward in this area of my life. It can represent travel. So going on a trip, going on a road trip, moving, going from one place to another, visiting a side of the town that you wouldn't usually go to. This is talking about making a conscious choice to be like, I'm going to create some diversity in my routine, right? You know, obviously you had a retrograde in your 7th, right? So there's been options and choices and people coming in, but maybe not a feeling of being like, yes, this is the one. I think about you being in Aquarius rising, and Mars will retrograde in your 7th house, and Mars rules your 3rd house, which could be about going on a road trip, relocating, traveling, hanging out with a sibling, taking a course, meeting somebody online, you know, going and looking in places that you wouldn't necessarily look. So that could happen here, especially over like the next couple of months. Two of Wands is about standing in a situation and going, okay, I got to make a decision. Which path am I going to go? And then when the Three of Wands comes up, then you go on your trip. So I think this is about starting to take a look at like new apps. It could be, you know, maybe you do some shopping, or you do some like grocery shopping or other things in other parts of town that you wouldn't usually go to. Maybe you decide that you want to take a new course, or you want to kind of join some kind of online community, something like that. But there's either going to be a trip or something that involves siblings that should lead to you meeting somebody, just knowing your transits. I made a promise to myself, my mom, my sisters, that I wouldn't flee from this. I'm a bit of a runner. No, and I think the interesting thing is like the Two of Wands coming up, you know, he's holding this globe, so he has control. He's picking where he wants to go. This is about you having conscious, you know, like the ability to make a decision, and you're conscious of that. You have to want it. So I don't think it's a bad thing. I think that it'll be really interesting to see the retrograde in your 7th house, because it can bring somebody in that can be very passionate and somebody who you have like a really strong connection to, especially in terms of like communication, and somebody who's like very mentally intriguing, like somebody you can't stop talking to. So I think this is just about having an open mind and being like, yeah, I'm open to the idea of like meeting somebody. I think this could be a good connection, and like, let's just see where it goes. And when you have that retrograde, it's going to be hard to say no, because you're going to be talking to that person a lot with the 3rd house activation that's happening. But start exploring other ways and places that you can meet somebody, right? I think that's the first thing. And this is about, you know, maybe you decide that you want to meet somebody who's not necessarily in your immediate vicinity. Two of Wands is like, you know, I'm gonna go to the other side of town to go and have dinner, or I'm gonna get out of town for the weekend with my friends. Create more variety in your routine, and that's what's going to make it easier for you to meet somebody, and also recognize that there's a big world out there. You don't want to be just limited to, I want to live this way, I always want to stay in this place, you know, this is my comfort zone. It's trying to get you to get out there and explore and see somebody who's probably trying to find you too, right? Hopefully that's helpful. I'm glad that your mom gave you that message. That's so cool. And also that you listened to the reading. It can be helpful in kind of navigating what's coming up. Good luck. Okay, so we got Sesame. Am I saying this right? Sesame. Anything that stands out to you of importance financially, relationship, home, moving, business ventures, or travel. I'm curious about upcoming eclipse in Pisces. All right, so the kitchen sink. Star seed cess. All right. Aries moon, Cancer sun. Which one is your sun? It says Aqua sun, Cancer sun, Aries moon. North node of Pisces. So the eclipse is on your north node. That's pretty significant. All right, so let's take a look. I'm curious to know what your rising sign is because it's the Aqua sun, Cancer sun. So let's just ask the cards, what does she need to know? We've got an eclipse coming up. Is there anything that we need to know about relationships or business or relationships? What does she need to be the most aware of? The Magician, Six of Wands, and the Sun. What great cards are these? Pretty damn good. I wonder if the Sun is going to be more about the solar eclipse, right? Obviously, so the nodes are connected to the moon. When you have an eclipse that is close to the moon, then it's basically saying there is something that's either coming in or going out, right? So full moon lunar eclipse, which means full moon completions, in Pisces, which is mystical, magical, things that you don't necessarily see coming, things that can be kind of coming from the ethers or things that influence our dreams, our sensitivity, what have you. And it's connected to the North Node. So it means there needs to be some kind of completion or some kind of ending that's happening for the collective, by the way. Not only does Pisces affect everybody, but it's in the third decan. So it means that this is a global consciousness wake up that's happening. All right, anyway, it's connected to your North Node. So you need to look at your chart and you need to go, okay, what rules my North Node? Go and find your natal Jupiter, go and find your natal Neptune, because that eclipse is going to be activating that. Anyway, Magician, which means things are changing, you're manifesting something, there's something new coming in for you. This is about having new tools, manifesting, visualizing what you want. I mean, literally what you asked for was like, tell me about money, tell me about love, tell me about business, tell me about action. That is literally the Magician. Cups for emotions, pentacles for money, wands for, travel, and then you've got swords for communication. So it's saying I've got all these things that I'm trying to manifest, and this is what I want to have happen. And how can I make all of these things kind of go in the direction that I want them to go into? Well, I can't think of a better time to see some of that stuff happen than when you're having eclipses on your North Node, and you won't see this stuff until like down the line. I think about the last time, granted, it's when I had my reverse nodal return, but when I had those eclipses on my South Node and my North Node, they were pretty significant. So it wasn't exactly on my North Node, and the transit nodes were involved, but big things happen with those eclipses for me, really big things. So go and look at your natal Jupiter and Neptune. That's going to give you a little bit more insight. For right now, the right now current card is the Six of Wands. So this is about forward motion, victory, success, travel, homecoming. Okay, or finding home, traveling to find your place. Maybe it's about moving and relocating. So this is definitely coming up. It says that, going places where you're well received. So invitations from people who are saying, come and visit us, come and travel to see us, maybe traveling for business. That can be kind of coming up with the Six of Wands as well. And feeling very optimistic, revolving around some of the things that are happening, it being really exciting, especially over like the next 6 months. Then you have the Sun card, which is the card that comes up that's talking about success, especially after a series of struggles or feeling like you're not making any headway or things aren't evolving or it's taking too long, that kind of stuff. The Sun card is also about joy, creativity, self-expression. It's about happiness. And so seeing these cards coming up, there's much more of an emphasis, on travel, relocation, and job promotion, or evolving in regards to your career and having some kind of success and something that you're wanting to tell people that you're celebrating in regards to developments in that department.
It's not saying that you can't have relationships. Certainly the Magician has a cup, but it's saying these things need to be worked on. You need to take time to really kind of visualize and manifest some of this stuff. But traveling, job and career development, having fun, and also a potential relocation does seem to be kind of coming up in these cards for you. And it may get extra good as a result of the solar eclipse that's kind of coming up, which is going to be in Libra. So that can be about initiating new relationships. That can be about kind of balancing and centering things. Obviously, having placements in, Aquarius, it's going to trine that. Having placements in Aries, it's going to oppose that. So it can be very relational. But that seems to be kind of like what's on the agenda here for you. And you clearly have all of the tools kind of at your feet right now that you can kind of utilize to be able to manifest some stuff. So if there is more of an emphasis on, okay, I want to focus more on money, I want to focus more on relationships, you can. I just think you're going to see some of this stuff come a little bit more quickly, right? Hopefully that's helpful for you. What's up, Enchanted? Next week, we're going to be here and we're going to be doing eclipse readings. So if you're a level 3 member, you want to get a reading next week, you can check in. We will post the info early because we get a lot of people that come for the eclipses. So if you know that you want to get an eclipse reading, I recommend checking the community tab. Click the bell button below and subscribe to my channel. We'll get that link out a day or so early before we do the live readings next Friday. We're going to be talking all about the Pisces eclipse. There's lots of info on my channel, so you guys can find the lunar eclipse in Pisces video. I talk about it in my horoscopes. And if you guys are just joining me, or if you didn't catch this in the beginning, I have a webinar. So click in the description below. Or we can post the link to the webinar if you guys want it. It's available on my website. It's several hours long. I talk about both eclipses, the Pisces eclipse in September, the Libra eclipse in October, what it means for all the, definitely quite the watch, but gives you an extra sneak peek to stuff that I did not talk about in my video on my channel. And also you can start seeing what's going to happen with the Libra eclipse. Anyway, thank you guys so much for joining me, hanging out with me on Friday, and coming to see me early this evening. I'll be back here on Sunday. We're going to do astro weather. Until next time, I will see all of you very soon, and I hope that you guys enjoy your weekend. Take care.